I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. So having reordered my timeline a little bit, this will now pick up just after the second and third chapter of 2 Kings. Elijah was recently translated, and Jehoram and Jehoshaphat have beaten Moab. So now we will continue this in 2 Kings chapter 4. This is going to detail some of the acts of Elisha the prophet. This is still taking place, I do believe, during the reign of Jehoram in Israel. So here we go. Chapter 4. Elisha multiplies the widow's oil. He promises a son to a Shunammite woman. The child dies and is raised to life by Elisha. He heals the deadly pottage at Gilgal. Bread and grain are multiplied for the people to eat. So, very similar stories to other things that have happened in the various places in the scriptures. So, here we go. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord. And the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him, and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. So here you go. This is fun. Remember, Elijah made the barrel of meal and the cruse of oil last for like 2-3 years during the drought and famine. This is the wife of one of the prophets, but her husband has died, and the creditors, they were in debt for some reason, and the creditors have come to sell her sons into slavery to pay the debt. That was according to the law. And he tells her that it's not like this. He said, borrow not a few. I love that statement. Borrow not a few. Get as many as you can, because the more you get, the more oil you're going to have to sell. And this is how he helps her pay her debt. But it reminds me of Elijah making the cruse of oil and the barrel of meal last for that long. Same kind of idea. Let us continue this. Verse 8. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunammite, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold, now I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber, and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto her, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldest thou be spoken for to the king, or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thy handmaid. And the woman conceived and bare a son at that season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life. So this is another very nice story. I just like this. Elisha didn't stay in one place. He traveled around. He stayed in the cities. Elijah was a man of the wilderness. He lived in caves and everything. But Elisha, he had his home in the city, but he traveled around to visit the people. And whenever he was traveling by Shunem, this woman would offer him a meal. And after a few visits, she persuaded her husband to put up a small lodging, a small room where he could spend the night. And he recognizes her kindness, and he offers to do something for her, to give her, to present her before the king. And instead, she says she declines, and it's his servant that suggests, well, she doesn't have a son. And so he says, oh, well, we'll give her a son. I do like her response there. He says, at the time of life, right? Meaning, you're going to have a normal pregnancy and give birth and all that. And her reaction, very much like Sarah, when the angel told Abraham that Sarah would have a child, she just doesn't believe it at first. It's like, why are you making me a promise that I know is not going to come, that I know can't be true? But she does have a son. It's a very nice, a very sweet story. Now this chapter is a bit long, so I'm going to end it here, and we will finish it out in the next video. So see you then.